Traditional colours of red shirts with white sleeves and white shorts. They kick from left to right in this first half, and the good news is they got through the opening 10 seconds unscathed.
Yes, their centre kick today, and you know, teams are going to look now at Arsenal and how they can get at that defence, who've struggled to keep as many clean sheets as they did early on in the season. This will be another test as well. Sporting have got some excellent forward players. Edwards, Pote, I'm sure will dive out of that centre midfield role and go and join the front three.
Well, Arsenal in early possession with Ben White, who scored his first ever Premier League goal at the weekend. Just over the line, just plenty good enough when you've got goal line technology. And Saliba lays it back here for Kiwior. Big day for him. Jakub Kiwior has made European appearances in the past, but all within the qualifying stages of the Europa Conference League. So it's the biggest continental game that he's ever played. His Arsenal debut. Man who did feature in all 4 games at the World Cup. Very interesting that Ben White in the early stages almost playing as a centre-half as opposed to a conventional right-back. Fabio Vieira had drifted out to the right-hand side in the early stages. Might be a little bit of kidology going on from Mikel Arteta here, but a long ball swung forward was executed without a great degree of quality. Goes out of play. It's a goal kick which will be taken by Sporting's goalkeeper Adan. You're with TalkSport 2. We're a couple of minutes in. Sporting 0, Arsenal 0 in the Europa League round of 16 first leg, and alongside me, the former England international, Dean Ashton.
And Ben White, I think, will have to do that role because Zinchenko is so forward-thinking, looking to move into midfield and join alongside Xhaka. They needed a bit of protection, and Ben White maybe had to sacrifice himself going forward just to go and slot in at times, especially when the opposition win the ball back.
Well, he's got it here, Ben White, and he's just been sold short with a pass from Kiwior, and he's hammered it straight into the crowd. He had to get rid of it quickly, and he goes out of play for a throw. We'll keep an eye on that defensive formation that Arsenal are adopting. Zinchenko in his customary role, really, but White playing so narrow on the right-hand side that it is almost 3 centre-halves with Saliba in the middle and Kiwior on the left of them. Bit of pressure being put on the Sporting goalkeeper Adan, but he's been able to get it out of harm's way. And a chance for Inacio to bring the ball forward now for Sporting in their traditional colours as well, the green and white hoop shirts. Bukayo Saka turning possession over, working it through the midfield. Layoff from Granit Xhaka, back inside his own half. Saliba finding his goalkeeper, and White now in this next phase of play in the kind of position that you would expect him to be from right back. Still 0-0 with 3 minutes gone. And the ball's played short through the Arsenal midfield again for Jorginho. Turn it forward into the feet of the retreating Martinelli. His layoff rescued by Zinchenko. It didn't quite go according to plan. Granit Xhaka could pick up the loose ball on the halfway line. He's put under pressure by St Just and lays it back through the midfield, and Arsenal dominating possession in the early exchanges.
And so they should, if they can get hold of the ball, keep nice possession and just try and stop any sort of a fast start for Sporting. And they've looked comfortable already, Arsenal.
There's Vieira drifting out of the right-hand side. That allows Saka space to attack infield. He's played it out towards Reece Nelson, and Nelson exuding confidence, drop of the shoulder, fired inside the area. Martinelli off balance, couldn't keep his header down. He was just on his way down by the time the ball got to him, and it's looped up off the top of his head and into the hands of goalkeeper Adan.
Oh, lovely burst of pace there, wasn't it, from Reece Nelson? Just a quick stepper over and he was away. Martinelli-esque almost on that left-hand side. It was a decent dig out of a cross. I don't think that is going to be Martinelli's strength. He's getting up at the back post and powering in a header. It was a bright move from Reece Nelson.
Well, just the 4th start of the season for Nelson, who played his European football last season for Feyenoord in that loan spell. Now, if he does keep his place in the starting lineup and feature at the weekend, it'll be his first league start since 2020. Here's Pote making his way forward, and he's put it wide. It was a great run, and he was allowed to travel some way inside the penalty area. Just flicked it onto his right foot, opened up the goal. but it was a tame, scuffed effort that went about 2-3 yards wide, and Arsenal are off the hook.
Yeah, it's a mess from Arsenal's point of view. Ben White gets dragged in with Trincao, and then it's Pote who makes that run in behind that space that's been left behind. Saliba doesn't come across, and it's Jorginho actually who's chasing Pote, hasn't got the pace to stay with him. Saliba sells himself short, and then Pote's got to hit the target. I know he wants to bend it into that far corner. Got to make sure, off balance, poor effort.
A let off for Arsenal. Sporting got off to the perfect start. They're ahead inside 10 minutes when they played Spurs here. And they should really have had an early advantage in this game as well. They have lost 5 of their last 9 home European ties, so the Jose Alvalade Stadium is hardly a fortress for them in terms of continental football. And one of those a 5-0 defeat at home to Manchester City in the home leg of their Champions League round of 16 tie last season. It's Martinelli dropping very deep again to pick up possession. Fabio Vieira is hugging the right-hand touchline in these early stages, giving Saka a little bit of license to move more infield. It's very interesting the way that Arsenal are playing. It's not the conventional gunner shape and formation.
No, it's very lopsided, isn't it, actually? With Ben White tucking in, Zinchenko then coming into midfield and almost forcing Fabio Vieira then to drift into a different position, and then Saka can adjust. I think it does mean that Sporting have got to think about their positions defensively. But a worry again, really, that Arsenal were just cut open down the sides again. If you think of the Ollie Watkins goal against Arsenal only a few weeks ago, it's that area that teams are looking for, in behind the fullbacks when them spaces are left.
So what do the Gunners need to do to prevent that happening?
Well, for example, Ben White can't go into midfield. If Zinchenko's not on his side and he's in mid, Ben White then can't go in. Or Saliba's got to know that and come across a lot earlier, which he didn't. He was late to come across. And that is an issue when you've got such big amounts of space in behind your fullbacks. And Jorginho, I don't think, has got the physicality to get out there.
And now they're on the front foot again, Sporting. The cross that Saliba is able to knock away. Xhaka can bring it outside of the penalty area to find Zinchenko. It's a good 1-2 that's been successfully executed. Zinchenko gets another return ball, but he's got green and white and hoop shirts all around him, and Escaio's done very well to win it back. Flicks it inside his own half where Coates can rescue the loose ball, pick it up and get Sporting going again. But 8 minutes in, Arsenal with more of the ball, Sporting with a little bit more potency. And they're playing the better football inside the early stages of this game. Play will stop here. The German referee Stieler has brought a halt to proceedings because Paulinho has gone down holding his face. I don't know whether that was just a genuine collision. Saliba's the nearest Arsenal player to him. There's no suggestion of any malice. Saliba making a run across just to try and get to the loose ball, and seeing the replay, Dean, it was just a genuine collision with Paulinho's cheek and Saliba's shoulder.
Yeah, Paulinho just not seeing Saliba was there, and as he's turned, basically run into Saliba's shoulder and taken a whack, and pretty much poleaxe, wasn't he? Arms almost behind his head. He really felt that one.
You're listening to the Europa League. It's live on TalkSport 2 with Till, the card payment provider from NatWest. And still 0-0 and largely chanceless with 9.5 minutes gone. But Mikel Arteta using the opportunity provided by the injury to the Sporting striker to have a word with his team. He's called them all over to the near touchline, laying down the law, telling them where they've been going wrong in the early stages.
Yeah, you can see with the arm gestures, he wants certain players in certain areas and the way they're going to move and interchange positions. I'm pretty sure he would have said something about that chance that was given up to Pote and how that can't happen again.
Well, Ruben Amorim, the Sporting coach, a man who's even younger than Arteta, is sitting much more demurely, just on the Edge of the bench, sitting on the edge of his seat, looking on, the bearded coach who led Sporting to the league title, their first in 19 years a couple of seasons ago. Here is Fabio Vieira, still very much on the right-hand touchline. Saka's done well, rig around a couple of challenges, beats Pote, and then Martinelli trying to turn it back round the corner for White in an advanced position. That was cleared. Arsenal able to win the second ball, and Martinelli's got it and will drive inside the penalty area, and he's done well. His persistence winning a corner as Inacio comes across to knock it away.
Oh, but that all started, Bukayo Saka, he's in such scintillating form. He's just jinking past 2 or 3 players, trying to open up Sporting defence, and then when it ricocheted into Martinelli's path again, he was very direct, just looking to use that pace to get in behind Inacio.
So Arsenal with the first corner. Martinelli standing inside the 6-yard box. Ben White's right in front of the goalkeeper. Fabio Vieira clipping it in, a left-footed in-swinging delivery. Nelson picking it up, turning, can't get himself into a shooting position. Try to win another corner of Jerry St-Just, the Dutch defender. Couldn't manage that. And the upshot of it all as the ball goes out to Jorginho is that it rolls, hits him, and goes out of play for a throw that Sporting will take in the right-back position. You would talk Sport 2 with 12 minutes in, and it's 0-0 between Sporting and Arsenal.
We did land at Reece Nelson's feet in pretty much an identical position as it did against Bournemouth in the dying seconds at the weekend, but he just couldn't quite sort his feet out as well as he did at the weekend, and then had to try and take on a couple of players and never really managed to get it out of his feet at any point. But it's been a good start from Arsenal. Other than that counter-attack for Sporting, Arsenal have been very much in control.
They've got the ball again inside Sporting territory, and it's Saka that drifts out towards the right-hand touchline this time. He's picked it up in his white boots, cutting towards the edge of the area, flicking it through cleverly for Vieira. Vieira standing a ball up towards the far post, goes over Xhaka's shoulder. He's done well to turn it infield. Nelson with a shot that's blocked. He then picks up the seconds, lays it back for Kivior. Kivior forward to Nelson. Nelson just plays the way that he's facing. Back for Zinchenko. Fired out towards Fabio Vieira. Saka picking it up on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Now Vieira will take over again. Just a couple of yards in from the right-hand side. To Saliba. Jorginho. Won this competition with Chelsea. Played in that final against Arsenal a few years back. Now Arsenal maintaining possession have found themselves just pushed backwards a little. Saliba picking it up. And they'll play it forward here for Granit Xhaka. To his right, Jorginho bringing it out of the centre circle. Now Ben White, only a few yards from the touchline. Amorim, the Sporting coach, down on his haunches on the edge of the technical area, wanting a worm's eye view for a moment of what was going on. White has it. Arsenal stringing the passes together, but absolutely making no positive impact or yardage. Maybe they can now as Saka turns it out towards White. White back for Bukayo Saka again towards the edge of the box. A little left-footed ball clipped inside the area looking for Vieira. Didn't find him. Sporting clear. And Arsenal will come again with Jorginho to Fabio Vieira. In towards Saka, but he was immediately closed down. Jorginho tries to win it back, but has found Trincao. And it's a free kick to Sporting. 14 gone, it's 0-0. West Ham still 0-0 as well, incidentally, out in Larnaca and Cyprus.
That's a couple of times now Sporting have managed just to surround the Arsenal players as they're looking to play that intricate bit of football in and around the area. 6 or 7 players converging over to that side as Trincao looks to just try and get in behind again. Space that White had left.
Got more live football coming your way over the course of the weekend, of course, here on the TalkSport Network. Bournemouth against Liverpool is the 12:30 game on Saturday. Liverpool, who stuck 9 past Bournemouth the last time the two sides met. If you're of my vintage, you can remember Liverpool putting 9 past Palace and then losing to them later the same season. Here's Marcus Edwards making his way forward for Sporting. He's won the first corner off the retreating Granit Xhaka. Bournemouth against Liverpool, a 12:30 kickoff. It's over on TalkSport. The build-up starting 11 on Game Day Live. Here on TalkSport 2, our live EFL action Saturday lunchtime is Bristol City against Blackpool, followed Saturday afternoon by Spurs against Forest. Tonight, we're 15 minutes in. Sporting 0, Arsenal 0, and the first Sporting corner. And the referee just wants to have a word with those who are doing the pushing and shoving inside the 6-yard box. Paulinho and Jorginho, the two number 20s, are both at it just a bit of pulling and shoving, and Jorginho almost trying to exchange shirts with Paulinho, and now they're just having a laugh about it. And still it's going on. Edwards has worked the corner short, and then the Englishman gets the return ball. It's level with the edge of the penalty area. Escaio fires across in, which hits Saka. Escaio wins it back, lays it back for Morita. Morita not taking any chances as he saw red and white shirts coming at him full tilt, and he's laid it all the way back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like having a corner yourselves and ended up going back to your own goalkeeper. Honestly, your centre-backs would be going mad, you'd think.
Now they can play it over the top for Trincão's run. Trincão, who spent last season on loan at Wolves. Ben White following him every step of the way. Cross comes in from Mateus Reis, the left wing back. Fabio Vieira trying to bring it forward after the initial cross was blocked, and Arsenal win a throw. Oh, it's just taking a touch off Vieira last. This is a Sporting throw. Throw that's been taken by Inacio. Finds Coates. Coates to Morita, who just drops in on the edge of the penalty area for a moment. Now St. Just laying it out to Escaio. Escaio turning, going back inside his own penalty area. Didn't fancy his chances of being able to just lever it through a congested midfield area. Trincão with a little layoff. Morita on the stretch, didn't get there. Well won back by Reece Nelson. We'll take it out towards the left-hand touchline here for the Gunners. 17 minutes in on TalkSport 2 and still 0-0. Back for Saliba. Saliba inside the centre circle to Ben White. And Sporting put in the pressure on, but unfairly. It was a foul by Paulinho and a free kick to Arsenal.
Yeah, he doesn't panic, does he, Saliba? He's been so good since coming back to the club. It's an absolute rock at the back, and very, very comfortable as well in possession. Jorginho, another player that's come in, I've been so impressed with him. He just gives them something slightly different, and I think especially in these sort of away games, he just keeps the ball so well and moves it so quickly.
Now Jorginho playing his first Europa League tie since that 2019 final against the Gunners. When he played against them that night, he wouldn't anticipate that his next competition appearance would be for them. Zinchenko down towards White. White back towards halfway for Fabio Vieira. There's a stronger side that Arteta has fielded tonight than in many of the group games. Rob Holding, for instance, started all of those group games, but he is in his customary position on the bench today. Jorginho back for the blonde-haired, Zinchenko in midfield. Martinelli struggling in this more central role at the moment to really make too much of an impression. He's dropping deep to try and link up the play, but struggled with his back to goal in the opening 18 minutes.
It's such a different role. Like you said, receiving the ball in a completely different way with pressure directly behind you. It can be difficult to play that role, and I think actually him coming a bit deeper, I think probably feels a bit more natural than maybe receiving that higher up the pitch with his back to goal up against the centre-backs. Maybe that's something they've talked about, Arteta and Martinelli, but with that you need them runners beyond.
More excellent pressure on Adan from Martinelli, defending from the front and forcing an error out of the former Real Madrid goalkeeper. Just swept it straight out of play for a throw, and Zinchenko takes it only about 10 yards from the corner flag. Have been a couple of other goals in the Europa League already. Roma leading Real Sociedad by a goal to nil. Bayer Leverkusen leading Ferencváros by a goal to nil. And we welcome listeners from TalkSport to our coverage here on TalkSport 2. Sporting 0, Arsenal 0. We're 20 minutes in, and neither goalkeeper has had any chance to exhibit their wares so far. Arsenal dominating possession. It's in the low 60s. Martinelli playing through the middle has struggled in this new modified role that he finds himself in tonight. Fabio Vieira has seen plenty of it coming in off the right flank. He's had a slightly wider position than we've seen him in of late. Dean Ashton, the former England striker, watching the game with me, and Arsenal will feel that other than a 2 or 3 minute spell where Sporting had a couple of potentially potent counter-attacks and Pote may well have scored, other than that, the Gunners have been on top.
They have been in control. That one counter-attack, Pote needed to do better, and they've exposed that space that Arsenal leave in behind their fullbacks. Ben White was caught out of position. Jorginho couldn't come across. But other than that, they've been so in control, but just lacked a little bit of quality with their last bit of play, Arsenal.
Granit Xhaka's got possession as the ball is worked back. Kivior making his debut for the Gunners at the heart of the back line. Has had a steady start. Saka here releasing Fabio Vieira. And a sliding challenge comes in, which gives Arsenal their second corner of the afternoon.
Yeah, good play from Saka and Fabio Vieira on that side, which is where Odegaard usually likes to drift. Same for Vieira tonight. Big shoes to fill, of course. Arsenal's captain Odegaard, not well apparently. But Vieira has done well since he's come to the club and slotted in when he's been given the opportunity.
Nice Fabio Vieira that takes this corner, a left-footed in swinger, and it's in. 1-0 to Arsenal. Great delivery, and it's William Saliba that has got the goal. Shocking marking at the back, and a few recriminations. Zinchenko and Coates getting involved with each other inside the penalty area, but one great delivery fired in, and he just walked onto it. Saliba heads it into the net, and Arsenal have a goal lead.
That's a great delivery from Fabio Vieira, just in, swinging in towards the 6-yard line, and Saliba completely free, totally unmarked, just guides the header down, skims off the surface and past Adan in the Sporting goal. It's a simple goal. I just wonder whether the goalkeeper could have come out. Edge of the 6-yard line. I'd like my keeper to come out and save that. Instead, Saliba, easiest of tasks just to nod in.
Well, I think the anger that resulted from the goal from the Sporting players was aimed at Zinchenko, who cleverly manhandled his man. Sporting defending zonally, and Zinchenko just stood with his arms around one of the Sporting defenders and stopped him having a run towards the ball. And then there were some shenanigans on the back of that. But the bottom line is, midway through the first half, Arsenal lead by a goal to nil. Our coverage continues on TalkSport 2. Zinchenko earned himself a yellow card for his part in all of that. Sebastian Coates booked as well. That means that the Sporting skipper will be suspended for the second leg next Thursday at the Emirates Stadium. So Coates in the book, Zinchenko booked, but Saliba on the score sheet, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, not a good couple of minutes then, is it, for Sporting? Coates now missing the second leg. Disappointing to give the goal away. I can see their point in terms of Zinchenko holding on to a Sporting defender. I'm not sure he's going to get anywhere near it anyway. He's then got to go over the top of his own defender to get to Saliba. I just wonder whether they will be having a look at it, though.
Well, no sign that that is the case. No official notification that the VAR Bastian Dankert is still inspecting what happened. And indeed, the game restarts with a kick-off for Sporting. Arsenal leading by a goal to nil. William Saliba, who netted at Bournemouth and Brentford, and now scoring a goal in continental football for the Gunners for the very first time. And they're on the front foot again here with Vieira, and he's been caught, and Coates has got to be careful, having just picked up a yellow card for what happened in the immediate aftermath of the goal. He's now given a free kick away. That's 6 yards outside the box. He just made no attempt whatsoever to get out of the way, and nor should he, you could argue, but Fabio Vieira driving at him, and he made sure that there was going to be no way past. And Coates is walking that disciplinary tightrope in quite a precarious manner.
He is. He's a little bit unfortunate, though, because he does actually stand there, you know, with his arms up, saying, well, I'm not actually moving, and I've not really blocked you. You've run into me, and he's right, and it is a foul, but there's no way there should be a second yellow card. He can't really get out of the way, and he's not made an attempt necessarily to foul Vieira. but to the referee it looks everything like a free kick in a dangerous position now. For I'm sure Zinchenko's just placed the ball in a certain manner.
Well, the camera panned to Ruben Amorim, the Sporting coach, and he was sitting on his seat in the dugout with the right shake of the head. It's all unraveled a little bit quickly as far as Sporting are concerned. Coates being spoken to by the referee, takes his place in the wall. It's a 4-strong wall that Antonio Adan, the Spanish goalkeeper, has asked for. Arsenal with a wall of their own, 3 strong in front of that. Zinchenko could aim for either top corner from the position that he's in. He hits it left-footed, straight into that wall, which didn't budge, and then back in again. And Adan threw a right hand at it to tip it over the bar.
Well, he was trying to use his teammates almost as a bluff for Adan. And he didn't. In the end, he just hit Coates right in the face. He came straight back to him, and then he just went for the strike through the legs. Adan saw it late and just had to palm it over.
And he was moving as well, viciously. Swerving effort from Zinchenko, and he almost got his wrist to it to just flick it over the bar. Comfortable save. Arsenal scored from the last corner. What can they do from this? Another left-footed delivery, not as good, that one from Fabio Vieira. It was easily swept away by Edwards at the near post before the retreating Saka guides it all the way back for his goalkeeper, and Turner will play it out. Now towards Saka again. It's one of the rare touches that Turner has had in the game. Arsenal leading at Sporting 1-0. Bayer Leverkusen and Roma leading their respective ties. West Ham still 0-0 away at AEK Larnaca in the Conference League, and they, like Arsenal, 27 minutes in. Morita playing the ball forward. Another free kick has been given, and this one's against Jorginho, who will just be spoken to by Tobias Steele. He's got a big smile on his face. Jorginho not so convinced about the decision, but it is a free kick that Sporting's captain Sebastian Coates will take. 1-0 to the Gunners.
Yeah, he's been to the Fernandinho school of free kicks, giving them away just sneakily and in such a good position, far enough away from the Arsenal defence. There's a few players that are just masters of it, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a cynical nature to it. I must admit, I'm quite an admirer of the ability to be able to do it and to break play up. I think if I was a coach, I'd want my side to be as well versed in it as Manchester City famously are, or Arsenal have the ability to be able to do it as well. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's an admirable trait necessarily, but listen, it's part of the game. If you can give away a free kick that you're unlikely to get booked for, but you're going to stop a quick counter-attack, why wouldn't you do it? Here's Edwards now at the other end, gets to the byline. Oh, it's a great ball in. Past Turner, but past everybody else. There's a little bit too much height on it. Trincao will pick it up on the left-hand touchline. Works it back through the midfield via Morita to Coates, who's played more than 300 games for Sporting. He's trying to play it forward here. He's made his way all the way to the edge of the box and ends up giving a goal kick away. Arsenal on top. They deserve the 1-0 lead given to them by William Saliba.
Yeah, he's an exciting player, Marcus Edwards, for Sporting. He's got a lovely way of dribbling with the ball with that left foot. Did well then just to clip across to the back post, and actually probably asked the question of his teammates to say, why have all three of you run into the same position, the near post area? You've got to spread yourselves across the goal when a cross comes in, and they didn't do it.
Well, elsewhere in the Europa League, the one goalless game has now seen the deadlock broken. Union Berlin 0, Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium 1, which would be a shock if they were to be able to mastermind something there. Union Berlin in fantastic form, third in the Bundesliga, although they're just having a little rough spell at the moment. The Belgian side, they've lost 3 of the last 4, but they do lead in Germany by a goal to 0. So 1-0 in all of the games, with Arsenal, Saint-Gilloise, Bayer Leverkusen and Roma all ahead, and Villarreal a goal up in Belgium away to Anderlecht in the Europa Conference League playoff. Anderlecht, who are having a shocking season, down in 10th in the Belgian league, which is almost unthinkable. And Villarreal just coming back into a bit of form, having won the last two. They lead by a goal to nil. As Zinchenko just went down, it was a little body check on him. Nothing serious, he's okay, able to continue. Fabio Vieira's got the ball. You're listening to TalkSport 2, Arsenal leading 1-0. And Saliba, the goal scorer, plays it forward to Zinchenko, who swept it quickly through the midfield, straight into the chin of Pote, but it was picked up again by Arsenal, no problem. Saliba hurriedly laying it back for Turner, who showed in the World Cup that he's susceptible to a well-executed forward press from the opposition. And here's Edwards winning it back. Edwards slipping it in, but just got the angle wrong for Pote's pass. Kicking and being put under pressure with the ball at his feet isn't a strong suit for Matt Turner. And we saw it again there.
Yeah, it was poor, wasn't it, from the Arsenal goalkeeper. And again, Pote, I know he's playing in midfield when they haven't got the ball, but when they've got it, he just goes and joins Paulinho through the middle. Brilliant run, just the pass was overhit for him.
Yeah, Pote, their leading scorer this season, got 16, got 23 goals in the title-winning season. And he scored twice away to Danish side Midtjylland in the last European tie. They made a bit of a mess of it here. They only equalised late on in the first leg, having been 1-0 down for a long time. Got it back to 1-1. They went to Denmark and won 4-0, so got through very comfortably through their playoff round. They came third in the Champions League group. They lost at home to Eintracht Frankfurt on match day 6, when a draw would have seen them through. It turned out there was only Spurs' very late winner in Marseille that kept them in Europe at all and earned them the parachute down to the Europa League. But they trail tonight to the William Saliba goal. Arsenal have been in this competition all the way through, won their group and didn't have to play in that playoff round. So this is their first knockout tie in Europe after Christmas. Ball laid back to their goalkeeper, and it only just had the legs to get there. It was slightly risky from Inacio. Goalkeeper Adan gets it forward. Skyo will chase and put a little bit of pressure on Zinchenko. Nelson coming in off the left flank does well to rescue it. Fabio Vieira beaten to it by Inacio in a 50-50, and then Pote will turn it forward. Linking up with Trincao, two former Wolves players are both in tandem for a moment. Back for Inacio again. Morita, the Japanese international, can turn in the midfield. Just waited a little bit too long. Fabio Vieira came back, and just as he was about to pull the trigger for the pass, Fabio Vieira flicked it away from him. But the next phase of play, they can come again. Escaio, round the edge of the penalty area. He's got it on the D. Pulls it back, shot from 30 yards, and Turner tips it wide. It was Inacio that struck it, and he struck it beautifully, arrowing it towards the bottom right-hand corner. But Matt Turner got down the American with a strong left hand to it. Might actually have just been angling wide anyway, but Turner not in a position to take any chances, concedes a corner.
No, it's a decent strike, Inacio, from distance. And I think he saw it late as well, Turner, as it went past Saliba. I think it's always better just to make sure it might have just clipped the post as well and come back out.
Absolutely, and in it comes, and it's headed in by Inacio. And Arsenal just switched off defensively. And a left-footed in-swinging corner, powered in by the centre-half. And Sporting are back on level terms. A not dissimilar goal to the one that Arsenal themselves scored. A header from a centre-half, from a corner, and it's dead level again, 1-1.
It is a carbon copy, isn't it, of the Arsenal goal. Brilliantly left-footed in-swinging corner. Matt Turner, very similar to Adan, did absolutely nothing. Feet rooted to the spot, and in drifts Inacio, nobody picking him up. Kivior ducked underneath it, which is embarrassing, I have to say. And Inacio just headed it in, guided it into the far corner. It's abysmal defending from Arsenal.
Yeah, neither Kivior nor Turner have covered themselves in glory there. I mean, Inacio got the run. He was coming from the edge of the penalty area. Kivior's job not to go with him man for man, but when it came in, almost flinched with Inacio coming in and powering the header past him, and Turner just didn't give himself a chance of being able to save it. So 1-1 with 10 minutes to go to half-time.
It's just really sloppy, isn't it, defensively, that, you know, 2 mistakes, one from the goalkeeper not being brave enough to just come out and deal with that when it's on your 6-yard line. It wasn't even as if he was under pressure from an attacker that was on top of him.
Now Coates stops the run of Martinelli by really leaning into him and forcing him out towards the touchline. And Sporting can bring it away.
And then you're right, with Kivior, he ducks underneath it with his head going back into his shell, and then we all know that face when you flinch, you turn around and something comes at you very quickly. He then, instead of turning and trying to attack the ball, he's then flinching away. It's embarrassing.
1-1 the scoreline. Saliba on 23, Inacio equalising on 35. West Ham have the lead in Cyprus. Mick Antonio has scored. They'll break the deadlock. AK Larnaca 0, West Ham United 1 in their Conference League tie. Antonio's 8th of the season. Platform potentially for a 5th straight away win in Europe this season for West Ham. Antonio up to 8 this season, and makes him the Hammers' leading goal scorer in all competitions. Arsenal will bring it forward with Fabio Vieira down towards Saka on the Arsenal right-hand side. White making a run on the overlap. Play back instead for Fabio Vieira. Left-footed ball fired inside the penalty area. Looked for Xhaka. It was clear. Jorginho after Zinchenko's cushioned layoff. Now Zinchenko can turn. He's played it back actually into the heart of the midfield. And another opportunity for Arsenal to be able to bring it forward. They can do so with White. He lays it back for Saliba. Saliba to Zinchenko, straight back again, and the Arsenal goal scorer just plays it forward into the feet of Fabio Vieira. The play just slows right down, almost goes into second gear for a moment. It's a line of 5 that Sporting have got behind the ball. Arsenal can get the ball in behind that line from Nelson, but they can't find a teammate. White will actually be able to keep it in right down by the opposite corner flag. He side-footed it through the midfield. Jorginho, it's a nice ball. Vieira turning back out. Ball inside the penalty area. Cushion header from Xhaka and an acrobatic hitch kick clearance from Coates. Morita with a header back into his own danger area, but that one's dealt with by Inacio, and Sporting will get it away into Arsenal territory.
Oh, I thought Xhaka maybe could have taken that down himself as Zinchenko slips.
And Edwards is the beneficiary of that, and he'll pick it up towards the edge of the penalty area. 1-1 the scoreline. Enfield ball, Marcus Edwards back out to the Sporting right-hand side. Still Edwards waiting for the return ball. He's got it, and left-footed effort fired in, and Turner tipped it wide of his near post and out of play for another corner.
Yeah, this is a better save than the one from Inacio. Edwards onto his left foot rather than curling that far corner. He's then struck it low into that near post, and brilliant save from Turner. Full stretch left hand down, skimming the grass and flicking it around the post.
I mentioned earlier, Edwards did score a goal against Arsenal in the Europa League when he was playing for Vitória Guimarães as a teenager. Having left Tottenham, came to Portugal to relaunch his career and has done so effectively. In comes this corner. Arsenal dealt with that one much more effectively than the previous one. White heads it away, back in again. Turner punches it away when he might have chosen to catch it. Escaio, the right wing back, on sentry duty on the halfway line for Sporting, and he picks it up and goes back to his goalkeeper. And now Adan will fire it forward some 60 yards. Brought down easily in the midfield by Pote. Pote to Morita. Now to Marcus Edwards, who's increasingly involved on that right-hand side now for Sporting, having had a phase of the game where couldn't really get too much service. Doesn't get it now from Jerry St Just, who tried to work it forward to him, but the centre-half didn't execute the pass anything like effectively enough. And Arsenal will be able to bring it forward again. Saka, 10 yards inside the Sporting half. Now Granit Xhaka able to turn it down to the left-hand side, and Reiss Nelson can bring it into his stride, and he's running at St Just, who stood his ground well, blocked it, and will be able to bring it away.
Yeah, that was just too obvious, really, what Reiss Nelson wanted to do. Fake as if he was going to go onto his right, and then went to go down the left. St Just just read it easily and blocked. I'd just like to see a bit more from Reiss Nelson and Saka in terms of they're keeping themselves very wide. I'd like to see a few more runs, as we normally see from Martinelli when he's on that side, inside the fullbacks. Very much at the moment on the outside, the periphery of the game, Saka and Reiss Nelson.
Here's White. And now Saliba inside the centre circle. Forward for Ben White again. You would talk Sport 2, Sporting 1, Arsenal 1. 60% possession for Arsenal. Now they've had 5 attempts to 4, but it is Sporting that have had more on target. Ball inside the penalty area should give the Gunners another corner. It was headed away by the retreating Sporting defender off the top of St Just's head, and out for a throw, out for a corner that will be taken over on the Arsenal left-hand side. It's their 4th of this first half.
Yeah, it's been a real feature of Granit Xhaka's play this season, is those late runs into the box, that freedom from midfield to go and join in.
Reiss Nelson with the delivery, very high and headed down. It's hit the post, is it, from Granit Xhaka? He's claiming it was over the line. It just bounced down and hit the foot of the post, right by the hand of the goalkeeper. And then Adani, trying to get the ball forward quickly, was stopped from doing that by one of the Arsenal players. And the veteran Spanish goalkeeper's furious, and he's waving the imaginary yellow card in the air to indicate that he believes that's an obligatory caution for the Arsenal player involved. He's got a face of thunder on him, Antonio Adan. And Tobias Steelers had to act as peacekeeper on 3 or 4 occasions in this game. He's going to produce a yellow card, and it's Martinelli.
Well, I think Adan's trying to say that he wanted to make a counter-attack, and he was stopped by the hand, as Granit Xhaka's header was just so close, and then he wants to burst forwards and counter-attack, and he's saying that there's been a handball, and it's actually Granit Xhaka who is the one that's handled the ball, rather than Martinelli, who he was saying it wasn't me, but has had to take the yellow card.
Yeah, Martinelli stood in front of the goalkeeper as he made his way towards the edge of the penalty area. They are going to get it right with the aid of the VAR. They're doing a mistaken identity check. And the bookable offence is the little deliberate handball from Granit Xhaka to knock the ball out of the hands of the goalkeeper.
Maybe I think they're keeping this decision because Martinelli barged into him initially, and maybe that was the first caution, and the Xhaka one therefore didn't matter.
Yeah, Martinelli's not at all happy, but he's got the yellow card. It's his 5th of the season, and he denies Granit Xhaka his 8th. So play restarts with a free kick from the edge of the Sporting penalty area from Adan. 1-1 the score. 90 seconds to go to half-time.
He's cleaned up his act that much now, Granit Xhaka, that he can even get his own teammates to take his yellow cards for him.
Arsenal sweeping it in again. Saka chasing it, but it's all he could do to stretch to make contact. He couldn't divert it back inside the penalty area. Yeah, he's had 12 red cards in his career, Granit Xhaka. 5 of them have come for Arsenal. He had a couple last season, one against Manchester City, one against Liverpool. But listen, the role that he plays, 7 yellow cards in 35 games, is not untidy by any stretch of the imagination. And he certainly has improved his discipline by 100% over the course of this campaign.
I think it's just holding himself back from getting involved in things that he really doesn't need to, but finds himself getting in trouble. Turner just plays a difficult ball to Kivior right at his forehead.
Yeah, it was played briskly back to Turner, and he swept it away on the half volley, and he just pinged it at Kivior. No harm done from an Arsenal perspective. We've got 20 seconds left in the first half. There'll be a little bit of time to be added on, not too much. Reiss Nelson will make a run off the ball here as Arsenal can bring it forward. They've won a free kick. There were 2 infringements there. The referee pulling it back, no advantage, has given a free kick for the first foul. And an opportunity for a set piece for Arsenal as we tick into stoppage time. It was Nelson that was caught by St Just. And it's not quite in shooting range, just a little bit too far out and wide for that. 3 minutes of time to be added on. And it starts with this Fabio Vieira free kick.
No, he's looked sharp though, hasn't he, Reece Nelson? Maybe he hasn't threatened the goal, but when he's got the ball, he's looked sharp, he's looked pacey.
1-1 between Sporting and Arsenal. 1-0 West Ham lead in Larnaca. In comes the free kick. Headed away by Coates. Bounces on the edge of the penalty area. Mopped up by Xhaka. Xhaka to Saka. Bukayo Saka turning and laying it back for Granit Xhaka again. Left-footed angle ball in from him. Good goalkeeping. And Dan came out and got caught by a high boot. I think the Arsenal player's got every right to go for that. Just attacking it. He's waved a hand of apology, but Adan came out. It was brave goalkeeping, and he ended up wearing the boot of the Arsenal player, and stoppage time is going to be elongated as a result of that.
Oh, I mean, the ball is so good from Granit Xhaka that you just know, and you almost wince when the two, you know they're going to collide. Just hope that he's just pulled his arm out of the way, Adan. I think, oh, he's fine, of course.
Well, seeing the replay, he went down with his gloved hand holding just underneath the Adam's apple. There's no contact anywhere near that part of his body. He's fine, he's able to continue. Another goal for Antonio. Oh, a terrible mistake at the back. And Arsenal got away with it. And again, it's Turner. It's just an accident waiting to happen when he's got the ball at his feet. And he got caught in possession. Sporting won it back, but there were two players in green and white striped shirts inside the penalty area who were oblivious to what was going on. They didn't believe that Turner was going to make that mistake. The ball was tapped forward to one of them. He didn't read it, and Turner could pounce on the loose ball and rectify his error. Well, that's a massive let-off as far as Arsenal are concerned.
Absolutely huge. Paulinho's disgusted with his teammates that they've just switched off. He's the one that went and closed down and won the ball back from a poor pass from Turner, and his teammates were asleep.
Well, any alertness there inside the Arsenal penalty area, and it would have been 2-1 to Sporting. As it is 1 apiece with 90 seconds to go to half-time. Antonio's got a second for West Ham. They lead 2-0 away to AEK Larnaca. It's William Saliba. Finds Jorginho. Jorginho 5 yards inside his own half, and he plays it back through the centre circle. Now Kivior wearing 15 on this is Arsenal debut. Saliba's got it again. We're in the 4th minute of stoppage time. It's 1-1 on TalkSport 2. Ben White now just working the ball forward. Saka coming in off the touchline, lays it back for Zinchenko in a central position as he often is. Just knocked square by the Ukrainian. Kivior will bring it forward, and then it's given away cheaply again in the midfield. Sporting will be able to win it back, but Jorginho does well. Just stuck out of foot, got it away from Pote. Martinelli chases a ball that was speared over the top of the Sporting back line, but Coates and Inacio both converged on it to close down the space. Blocked him off, and the ball runs through for the goalkeeper.
I think Mikel Arteta will be frustrated because there's been a bit of sloppiness from his side. And if they are going to play in that way where Zinchenko goes into midfield, you can't just give the ball away cheaply because it then opens up the space for the opposition.
Saka coming across is the last touch of the first half, and it's 1-1 at the break. But Matt Turner is very grateful that that is the case. Side-footing the ball out to the edge of his penalty area. No chance for Saliba of being able to pick it up. Paulinho intercepted it, but the two ahead of him, including Marcus Edwards, just oblivious to what was going on. They were being played onside by a defender who was back on the line from the previous phase of play. And Sporting spurning a glorious opportunity to take a 2-1 lead right at the end of the first half. Saliba on 23, a header from a corner. Inacio on 35, equalising with a header from a corner. And at half-time, Dean Ashton, it's 1 apiece.
And they've had most of the control and most of the possession, Arsenal, in that first half. I just think Mikel Arteta will be frustrated at the sloppiness. They've given the ball away too often. They've been a little bit too lax in their the way they've played out. Obviously, Turner looks a little bit jumpy when he receives the ball. And actually, we haven't seen enough, I think, of Nelson, Saka and Vieira getting beyond Martinelli, because he's starting to drop deep. Well, if you then don't have runners in behind the defence, you know, Coates, Inacio, St-Just, they'll be happy with that, to see all that in front of them. So I think a few tweaks for Arteta at half-time, maybe in the shape and certainly the two wide players, and you would expect them to come out and win the second half, because they've been that comfortable. There's just that little lack of concentration, I think, at certain moments for Arsenal.
But defensive deficiencies that have cost Arsenal goals recently, haven't cost them points, but you think back to the two they conceded at Villa, the two they conceded at home to Bournemouth last weekend, an eminently preventable goal today, and it could have been worse with another couple of errors, Pote firing wide, and then the skirmish at the end, which should have led to a goal. So still those question marks very much there.
Yes, and you know, you don't want to give the opposition any sort of confidence, and that's what you do when you give the ball away and you look jittery and you leave those spaces in behind your fullbacks and your goalkeeper's a bit jumpy when he's got them. All it does is just feed the confidence of the opposition to think, well, we can get at them, we can maybe press a bit higher against this Arsenal side. So they've got to be more concentrated, more vocal in terms of just filling in for players that are out of position. But all in all, I think they've been very much in control, I think, in that first half.
So 1-1, the half-time score. We've got the second half to come here on TalkSport 2. We'll look ahead to what's coming up over the weekend as well, and run through all the other half-time scores for you in the early kickoffs in Europe. You're with TalkSport 2, European Game Day Live. Don't go away.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the EFL.
Europa League live on TalkSport 2 with Till by NatWest, the card payment provider from NatWest. Till by NatWest. Tomorrow begins today. Fees, T's and C's and eligibility criteria apply.
Today's tale begins when Sarah was scrolling through her feed. Suddenly, Sarah heard the scariest sound.
The Wi-Fi is down.
Sarah was trapped by the spinning wheel of doom.
Save yourself from broadband nightmares. Get BT's unbreakable hybrid broadband backed up by EE, the UK's best network. Search BT Hybrid Broadband. 88% UK availability. 4G connection takes up to 175 seconds. Best for mobile network performance. Verify at ee.co.uk/claims.
Some things leave you guessing. Like, why are yawns contagious? But not MailChimp. MailChimp eliminates guesswork from email marketing by analysing data from billions of emails to offer up personalised recommendations for how to improve your email content and targeting. Guess less and sell more with Intuit MailChimp.
Climate change. Where do we start? Well, we could start by trying plant-based milk in our coffee every morning. Maybe cycling to work every once in a while. But our biggest carbon footprint could be from heating our home. Here at Vaillant, we're serious about climate change, which is why when you switch to a Vaillant boiler or heat pump, you could reduce your carbon footprint and your energy bills too. Now that is a good place to start. Find your local installer now. Why wait? Vaillant.
And now a weather forecast for directly over your house, right above it, especially the driveway. We're talking several feet of snow, so you can't get the car out just as you need to leave for your trip this weekend. A professor of meteorology was quoted as saying, your trip in particular is a write-off. Forget it. You're not a polar bear.
When your travel plans are a washout, it matters where you stay. Enjoy flexible booking at Hilton. Hilton, for the stay.
Can I have a 6-inch big beef sub, please, on High Italian? And make it a meal deal.
Welcome to the Meal Deal Mega Wheel.
What?
Give it a spin. Is it a sub? A snack? Oh, you've won some Subway swag. Download the Subway app now for a chance to win one of 10,000 prizes when you buy a meal deal. The Meal Deal Mega Wheel. Subway. UK residents 18 plus only. Meal deal purchase required and prices may vary. Visit subwayrewards.uk for full T's and C's and price details.
Who says you can't mix business and pleasure? Our American Express business cards let you earn points on your business transactions, from paper clips to online ad spend. Points that help you enjoy something pleasurable, like a nice relaxing massage on a spa weekend away. The card is for business, The points are for pleasure. Search Amex Business Card. Terms and annual fees apply. 18 plus subject to status.
The Social with Adi Oladipo and Rory Jennings. Tomorrow afternoon from 3 on TalkSport 2. Outspoken opinions and decisive debate following all the action.
We talk about football in a bipartisan and educated way. Well, I do at least.
I try.
News, views, fun and football fixtures.
It's not just football though. Bit of boxing, bit of horse racing, even a bit of rugby.
And it's a try!
And some phenomenal guests.
If you can't get in this squad after showing the form he showed, I don't think it looks too good for him.
This is the place to be.
It's Addy and Rory. It's The Social on TalkSport 2.
Watch a goal! The Social. Tomorrow afternoon from 3.
It just works, doesn't it?
On TalkSport 2.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker.
Europa League live on TalkSport 2.
It's Pote making his way forward, and he's put it wide. It was a great run, and he was allowed to travel some way inside the penalty area. Just flicked it onto his right foot, opened up the goal. But it was a tame, scuffed effort that went about 2-3 yards wide, and Arsenal are off the hook. Nice Fabio Vieira that takes this corner, a left-footed in swinger, and it's in. 1-0 to Arsenal. Great delivery, and it's William Saliba that has got the goal. Shocking marking at the back. Zinchenko could aim for either top corner from the position that he's in. He hits it left-footed, straight into that wall, which didn't budge, and then back in again. And Adan threw a right-handed it to tip it over the bar. In it comes, and it's headed in by Inacio. And Arsenal just switched off defensively. And a left-footed in, swinging corner, powered in by the centre-half. And Sporting are back on level terms. And that's the situation at half-time. Sporting 1, Arsenal 1. Second half to come here on TalkSport 2. Had a little feisty edge to it as well at times. Coates, Zinchenko and Martinelli all in the book. And Dean Ashton and I will bring you the second half, which will kick off in about 6-7 minutes time, something like that. It's been a decent first 45 minutes though for West Ham on their travels in Europe tonight. They're away to AEK Larnaca and already in complete control of the tie. Watching on TalkSport 2's Ian Danter. Good evening, Dance.
Evening to you, Jim. Half-time score, AEK 0, West Ham United 2. And after an opening half hour in this UEFA Conference League tie that was a little frustrating for West Ham, where they really couldn't get their rhythm or their tempo together, suddenly Mikel Antonio has a brace, and West Ham, as you say, are firmly in control. His first goal came 9 minutes from the break. Lovely cross by Saïd Benrahma from the left-hand side, checked onto his right foot, and Antonio completely unmarked in front of goal, 6 yards out, didn't even have to jump for the header, could just nod it from a standing start into the bottom corner. That was the one moment of real quality that we'd seen in the half. The goal settled Hammers down a bit, their passing and their control got a bit better, and then right on half-time they got a second. Antonio again picking up the ball with his back to goal from a pass from Declan Rice. He was allowed by the centre-half Tomovic to turn, advance a pace or so, and then bend it round Tomovic and into the top corner from 25 yards. Smashing finish from Antonio, and West Ham should be able to see this game out quite comfortably ahead of the second leg at the London Stadium next Thursday. Half-time score in Cyprus, AEK Larnaca 0, West Ham 2.
Thank you very much, Dan. So a couple of goals there for Mick Antonio, and West Ham in control. Haven't won any of their last 11 Premier League games away from home, but that would be a 5th away win in a row in Europe, and against a side who've been in decent form as well, with 3 defeats in 23. Now elsewhere in that competition, the Conference League, it's Anderlecht 0, Villarreal 1, and Sheriff Tiraspol of Moldova 0, Nice 1 at half-time. 1-1 in the Arsenal game. Elsewhere, Roma lead Real Sociedad 1-0. Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, a goal up at home to the Hungarians Ferencváros, who are unbeaten in 11 going into the night. But they trail by a goal to nil, and Union Berlin equalising with a goal from Juranovic just before half-time at home to Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium. So 1-1 after the early goal conceded by the Bundesliga high flyers. And that brings you up to date with all of the scores. We'll keep you up to date with all of the goals as they go in over the course of the second half. Now, following us tonight, it's the PGA Tour Golf, the Players Championship. You love your golf, you love this one, the unofficial 5th major and Russ Hargreaves, who's the host of our live coverage here on TalkSport 2 tonight, can tell us what to expect this evening. Good evening to you, Russ.
Yeah, very good evening to you, Jim. We both love our football, don't we? And this should be an absolutely cracking night of golf as soon as you're done and dusted with the Europa League. And as things stand, it's Chad Ramey, the American, who leads the way at 8 under par after a brilliant opening round of 64 around TPC Sawgrass, infamously testing course, as we know. But conditions, in stark contrast to last year at this stage, pretty fair so far. Ramey leads by 1 from Colin Morikawa, the resurgent American. Twice a major win at Morikawa, also done and dusted with a round of 65 to lie at 7 under, 1 shot off the lead. Jim, the marquee 3-ball from the morning US time was the 3 players slugging it out to be world number 1. Major contrasting fortunes for them. Scotty Scheffler, the world number 2 and Masters champion, 4 under after a 68, very solid. John Rahm from Spain, the current world number 1, 1 under despite dropping a late shot at his 17th. But Rory McIlroy, 4 over par, the 2019 winner of this event, never got it going. Really tough day for McIlroy. Started with a double bogey at his first, dropped another shot on his front 9. A couple more down the stretch. McIlroy 4 over, 12 shots off the pace with a huge amount of work to do. Quick word about what we'll enjoy here on TalkSport 2 later. Loads of big names out on the course from the evening wave. They include England's Matt Fitzpatrick, the US Open champion. He's at 1 under through 3, as is Norway's Victor Hovland. And Italy's Francesco Molinari's picked up an early birdie as well. And the other American stars will feature long into our evening are Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. Spieth with an early birdie, and JT, the winner of this event in 2021, an eagle 3 at the par 5 second. He's already, Justin Thomas, started very, very favourably indeed, and he'll feature throughout the evening. We're live after you, then of course here on TalkSport 2 right through Friday, Saturday and Sunday night, when we'll crown our 2023 Players Champion.
It's good to see that my tip is in a tie for 114th at the moment. Sung Jae Im, who's had an absolute nightmare at 3 over. It's always good when by, 7 o'clock on the Thursday, you know that you've done your money in the players at Sawgrass.
Well, I said Fitzpatrick for me might be somebody who was just coming nicely to the boil on TalkSport 2, Jim, toward the end of last weekend's coverage. And I just wonder, with a nice kind of solid, compact, all-round game, if he doesn't overexert himself too early, I wonder if this might be the kind of week that he comes good. But I enjoyed listening to Justin Thomas in his pre-match media conference, and he just seems so happy to be back at Ponte Vedra Beach. Such great memories of winning this a couple of years ago. Again, a player we've seen flashes from a while without really hitting his absolute top form. Brilliant start. Is he the kind of guy to vault up that leaderboard as well? But crikey, Jim, some of those early starters, they've made a real dent into that leaderboard. Ramey at 8 under, Morikawa at -7, and they are respectively 3 and 2 shots clear of the field, as our big later names on TalkSport 2 after you to try to haul them down.
Russ, thank you very much indeed. So I'll be listening to that on the way home tonight. The coverage on TalkSport 2 of the PGA Tour Players Championship. Well, we've got the second half to come from the José Alvalade Stadium in Lisbon. Sporting 1, Arsenal 1. Players will be back out in a moment for the second half. But Arsenal, you've been quite happy with a steady-ish performance, 6.5, 7 out of 10 from them. Better in parts, not so good in some others. But what will Mikel Arteta be wanting more of in the second half, Dean Ashton?
I think more threat, to be honest. I think they've kept such good possession. Jorginho's been excellent, and Zinchenko's alongside him pretty much, which allows Xhaka to get forwards. But we just haven't seen enough of Saka, Martinelli and Nelson. You know, they're meant to be the threat at the top end of the pitch, and they haven't really got themselves into the game as much as I'm sure Mikel Arteta would have liked. I think we need to see more of those players in the second half, and he'll, I'm sure, will want to take a lead back to the Emirates.
Well, this is how the two sides line up. A darling goal for Sporting. The back three of Saint-Just, Coates and Inacio. Esgaio, Pote, Morita and Mateus Reis. And then Edwards, Paulinho and Trincao, the forward three. They're back out for the second half, still waiting for the emergence of Arsenal. We've got Matt Turner in goal. White, Saliba, Kivior, Zinchenko. Fabio Vieira, Jorginho and Xhaka. Saka, Martinelli and Nelson are the front three. And the Arsenal bench, Partey, Gabriel, Smith-Rowe, Holding, Tomiyasu and Ramsdale. And then some youngsters as well. Goalkeeper James Hilson, as well as Bandera, Sago Jr., Smith and Walters. So, 3 teenagers on the bench for Arsenal. And no sign of any changes being made ahead of the start of the second half. Matt Turner just going through a warm-up. It's been a nervy 45 minutes from him. I think Mikel Arteta will be hoping that he will be able to put those nerves behind him. He's a player that has played a couple of dozen internationals. He's played 6 games for Arsenal this season and only conceded 2 goals before today, but just hasn't looked comfortable when the ball has been played to him. His feet inside the penalty area and was statuesque defending that corner from the Sporting score. So Tobias Siebert, the German referee, has booked 3 so far. Zinchenko and Martinelli for Arsenal. Coates for Sporting, who'll miss the second leg through suspension. And he gets us back underway. Sporting in their green and white hoop shirts. Kick from left to right in the second half. And Arsenal in their traditional colours of predominantly red shirts with white sleeves and trim and white shorts. And they have the ball in hand with a throw that'll be taken over on the far side. With TalkSport 2 back underway, and it's 1 apiece.
And Arsenal again will want to take control of the game in terms of possession, and it's then just the position of Martinelli and how that works, because he is coming very, very deep as he's on the ball now, just in the midfield area. He's not really staying up there as a striker, so therefore you've got to have somebody making those runs into the centre forward area or beyond the centre backs, I think, to have any real danger.
Now that's the job that Granit Xhaka can do so well. And I think that the former Thomas Partey in the first half of the season certainly allowed Xhaka that little bit more licence to make third-man runs forward. They're on the back foot here, though, Arsenal, with Trincao checking inside the penalty area and then twisting, getting past Saka. Turner punches it clear. Morita trying to scoop it back in over his head. But it was comfortably dealt with by Matt Turner in the Arsenal goal. 1-1.
Well, it's poor, actually, from Trincao. He just brilliantly cut back on the outside of Saka. And then he just kind of plays it in aimlessly towards the keeper, Turner, who just parries it out to the edge of the box, where Morita then just tries to dig out a shot with no real power. Made it very easy for the Arsenal goalkeeper. But again, that all came about because Ben White was dragged out of position. Every time one of the forward players in his area drifts into midfield, he goes all the way in with them, and then they just look to play it in over the top.
Here come the Gunners again. Get it towards halfway and then turn back inside their own half for Kivior. Now it goes out towards Ben White and then back infield from him. Zinchenko picking it up, the Ukrainian in his white boots, laid into the path of Granit Xhaka. Back for Kivior again. Here's an Arsenal side that has scored 12 goals in the last 4 games. They've got a very good away record in Europe. They've won 11 and lost only 2 of their last 16 away games in Europe. 2 defeats coming against Villarreal and PSV. Saka, a major part in that excellent run away from home. He's got it here. Ran down a blind alley, but was still able to rescue it. Zinchenko then finds Nelson. Back for Zinchenko again. And he slipped it through beautifully. Martinelli trying to dink it over the goalkeeper. And it's hit the goalkeeper and gone wide, but the flag's up against it.
Yeah, it was a really clever pass from Zinchenko, and Martinelli's onside. He's been kept onside by Matthias Reich on that far side. He doesn't know that. He just goes to lift it away from Adan, and that big left hand, he just raises that above his head, the goalkeeper, as he's sliding on his side, and just gets a good paw to it. It's a really good save.
And as a consequence, it is a corner, which will be taken on the Arsenal left-hand side by Reiss Nelson. And again, zonal marking from the Sporting defenders. Nelson hitting it very high out towards the far post, where Zinchenko tried to volley it back into the fray. But it was immediately cleared. Just smacked it straight to the nearest Sporting player. He's got it again now. Played in by Saka. Back from him to Martinelli. Down the right-hand side of the penalty area. Ben White will try and dink one in. Martinelli made the run, but quite a shuffled across. But Arsenal win it back, and it's just narrowly wide. And it came to the edge of the area for Fabio Vieira. And Sporting made a meal of getting it away. And it fell onto his left foot, and he hit an instinctive first-time effort. And he had the goalkeeper scrambling, but it went just the wrong side of the post from an Arsenal perspective.
Well, Pote, a glaring look at Coates, because he just fired this into him in midfield when he wasn't even ready for it. He wasn't asking for it. And then Granit Xhaka nipped in, played to Martinelli, set to Vieira, and he's just dragged it wide. It was a neat and tidy move from Arsenal once they won the ball back. But Vieira couldn't find the target.
And we're 5 minutes into the second half. You're listening to the Europa League live on TalkSport 2 with Till, the card payment provider from NatWest. Jim Bradford and Dean Ashton talking you through the action, 1 apiece, the scoreline. And that would certainly be, at the very least, a power result for Arsenal. If this finished 1-1, they'd be very confident in their ability to be able to turn things around in the second leg, which is next Thursday. It's an 8 o'clock kick-off the second leg. They've got it now. Nelson slipping it forward. Goalkeeper slightly slow coming out of the 6-yard box. He did get there in time to be able to sweep up and get it away. And he goes out of play for a throw. Fabio Vieira gave chase, but Adan just got there first. Put it in out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Arsenal right. In he goes towards Martinelli. Vieira chipping it in, looking for Saka, but Coates can clear. Kivior on the end of that just shoulders it into the path of Zinchenko. To Nelson, who was given a little shove off the ball there by Escaio. Morita then puts the pressure on in the midfield, but Arsenal have still got it. Nelson on the half turn, finding Granit Xhaka. Xhaka working it back inside his own half to Kivior. Granit Xhaka, who's too far away from 300 Arsenal games now. He'll just about get there before the end of the season if he stays fit. Nelson back for Xhaka. Xhaka clipping it back in for Reece Nelson again. Now Xhaka feeding Zinchenko. Left-hand side of the penalty area, dinking it in. It was a good delivery, but not a good header from Martinelli, who heads it over the bar and looks at the heavens and yelps in dismay.
I mean, they're able to craft these chances so beautifully in wide areas, Arsenal. They really do overload the fullback at times. Beautiful play from Reece Nelson, Xhaka, and then out towards Zinchenko. Decent clip into the middle, where again, it just doesn't look that natural for Martinelli to find the positions, get himself up and head that on target. And he's annoyed with himself.
But 2 live Premier League games coming your way on Saturday. Bournemouth against Liverpool kicks off at 12:30. Build-up starts at 11. That's over on TalkSport Game Day Live. And then Adrian picks up the reins at 2:30. Trevor Sinclair and Mickey Gray with Adrian Durham. Adrian at the King Power staying for all the goals as they go in from the Premier League and the EFL, including Leicester, Chelsea, Manchester United, Southampton, and Spurs against Forest. Spurs-Forest is our live Premier League game, 3 o'clock here on TalkSport 2, exclusive to national radio on Saturday afternoon. Ben White with the ball at his feet, plays it out to the right-hand side. Big game, incidentally, in the Championship as well. Norwich-Sunderland, Sunday lunchtime, a high noon kickoff at Carrow Road for a match that's of crucial importance to both of those teams. And then back around the grounds in Europe again next Tuesday, when we've also got EFL action from Teesside as Middlesbrough take on Stokes. There's so much live football coming your way, as well as the golf, which follows us. First of 4 rounds today from Sawgrass and the Players' Championship, that wonderful course with its perilous 17th. Ball goes back to the goalkeeper, Adam, who fires it left-footed. Brought down inside the centre circle by Arsenal. Zinchenko's going to be able to bring it forward. It remains 1-1. West Ham United still 2 up away to AEK Larnaca. Nelson back for Zinchenko. And then Xhaka can turn. And Arsenal beginning to find a little bit more space now in this kind of area, about 10 yards outside the penalty area. They haven't got Sporting players on their toes as immediately as before. Jorginho down towards Nelson. Nelson just coming in off the left flank. Tomiyasu out warming up for Arsenal. Ball comes in and it's whacked away by Coates and out of play for an Arsenal throw.
Well, when you look at the Arsenal bench, and does Mikel Arteta give any of the young players a chance in forward areas? Smith Rowe, I'm sure, will want minutes as well. They're very, very deep so far in this second half, Sporting. Every single player well within inside their defensive half. I think you're right. I think just maybe fatigue because Arsenal keeping the ball, but they've just squirmed away.
And they can bring it forward here with Trincao. And to his right-hand side is Esgaio. Esgaio, ball across the edge of the 6-yard box. Great defending came from Saliba to slide in and knock it away. Now they'll come again with Edwards on the right-hand side of the penalty area. Edwards pulled back for Esgaio. When they can break quickly, Sporting, they have a potency about them. And they have the ability to be able to get the bodies forward very quickly. Edwards slipping it in. Lovely reverse ball. Good save. Turner can't do anything about the follow-up, which is put in by Paulinho. And out of nothing, Sporting have turned this around. Arsenal scored first, but they trail 10 minutes into the second half.
And I was just saying how deep Sporting were, but when they broke in numbers, and it was the same here, flooding the Arsenal box with players. I mean, the pass from Edwards is just sublime. He fakes as if he's going to play it in towards the middle of the pitch, and he reverses it just in behind Granit Xhaka. Kivior's watching the ball. Pote with the shot, Turner with the save, and then what do you want? You want a striker that's right on their tiptoes, waiting for anything that spills. Paulinho's that man. Just steps in front of Ben White and taps home.
Well, from an Arsenal perspective, you want a defender who reads the situation slightly more quickly than either White or Saliba did there. And 10 minutes into the second half, Sporting find themselves ahead as they look for a 5th straight win. The goal is still being checked, incidentally. I understand the check is now over, and it does stand. 2-1 to Sporting. And that'll be a huge frustration for Mikel Arteta. Another game in which the Gunners, with a slightly remodelled back line, of course. No Gabriel tonight, but another game in which they've conceded twice. And they've left themselves with work to do. Paulinho scored against Tottenham, one of 3 Champions League goals that he scored. And he was actually sent off in the League Cup final recently, having scored 8 goals in 5 ties prior to that. But instrumental in Sporting being beaten in the Portuguese League Cup final. But he's just conjured up a big moment, and Sporting lead Arsenal by a goal to nil. Paulinho just in the right place at the right time, and sharp and aware to the fact that the ball might come off the goalkeeper, who couldn't make the save. And Mikel Arteta in conversation with Albert Stauvenberg about the way back into the game. Could get worse yet. Edwards trying to get it onto his left foot, just ran away from him. It stopped him getting a shot in. Then Arsenal try and bring it away, and a free kick has been given, and Morita gets a yellow card.
Again, Edwards, I mean, because he's so left-footed, you know, once he's jinked inside once and there's more Arsenal bodies to go past, he's then just constantly jinking with the outside of his left foot and eventually gets challenged, and then Morita just goes flying in towards Fabio Vieira, and rightly so. He gets a bit of the ball, but he absolutely cleans Vieira out as well, and straight away the yellow card was out.
So Morita is cautioned, and like Coates, his teammate and captain, he will miss the second leg in North London next week through suspension. So Sporting leading Arsenal 2-1. Elsewhere in the Union Derby, Union Saint-Gilloise leading 2-1 away to Union Berlin. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Ferencváros 0, Roma 1, Real Sociedad 0 as it was at half-time. The Hammers still 2 up in Larnaca. 1-1 between Anderlecht and Villarreal. The Belgians have equalised. And Nice leading in Moldova away to Sheriff. That's another Europa Conference League playoff game. The ball worked across the edge of the penalty area, and Arsenal can bring it away. And not just bring it away, Martinelli, what a good strong run this is. Oh, he's going all the way. Martinelli round the goalkeeper, and he's touched just at the last moment too heavy. Anshan just slid in to knock it out of play for a corner. It would have been, without exaggeration, one of the great Arsenal goals in Europe. He picked it up on the edge of his own penalty area. He rode 4 challenges, skipped past another man on halfway, and it was just that last touch that let him down.
Oh, what a sensational run from Martinelli. It deserved a finish at the end of it. I just don't think he knew Saint-Just was there, because he takes it round the goalkeeper and then he's onto him, Saint-Just, to slide in at the last moment. What a goal that would have been. An electric run from Martinelli.
Just brilliant. from Martinelli, who's not been at his best tonight. It's not his position, and you can tell it's not his position. So much stronger operating off the flanks, but that was simply mesmeric. Everything but the finish. 2-1 Sporting lead, but Arsenal have a corner after that brilliant run. Zinchenko's just been spoken to on the edge of the 6-yard box by the referee. In comes the corner, left-footed, very deep. Martinelli coming round the back, got something on it. It's plopped up high off his head and into the hands of goalkeeper Antonio Adam. And we reach the hour mark with Arsenal trailing by 2-1.
Oh, just going back to that run from Martinelli. It's almost like he just dropped it into second gear just to give him that little boost as he went past two players. Coates came across and it went through his legs. And then I thought Morita, who's just been booked, he's got to get this right. Martinelli pokes it past him and he's away. Fair play, actually, to Saint-Just. Didn't give it up, sprinted all the way back just in case he had an opportunity. Actually, really good defending in the end, and so unlucky for Martinelli.
Well, Sporting beat Tottenham. They lost the other 2 games that they played at home in the Champions League group. They didn't beat Danish side Midtjylland on home soil in the last round of this competition, but they lead the Gunners 2-1. Arsenal have won 13 out of 18 away from home in all competitions this season, which is a brilliant record. But they've got work to do here. Saliba just trying to hold it up, and he couldn't do so. And Paulinho has missed the target. And he was clean through. And he elected to shoot from distance rather than take it in towards Turner's goal. And he just leant back and skied it. And it's another let-off.
And it's another opportunity that comes from the space left by the fullbacks. Ben White is in midfield. Zinchenko is in midfield. Saka can't get back in time. Saliba's already got a man. It's just too easy for Sporting to get right down the middle of that Arsenal defence. And Paulinho, when he has to show some composure, showed anything but, skying it over the top, when all he needed to do, I think, was take another extra touch to get closer to Turner and slip it past him.
Saka's won it back. Granit Xhaka with the shot, and that has deflected in. Arsenal are back on level terms. It's 2-2. It's hit the hapless Morita, wrong-footed his goalkeeper, and Arsenal have the equaliser. It all came after Pote was caught. Bukayo Saka winning it back. Pote went to ground, wanted a free kick, was furious when he didn't get it. It's more furious 5 seconds later when he saw the net result of it. Xhaka firing one in from 30 yards. He was trying to work it into the feet of his teammate in the penalty area, and it hit Morita and goes in for an own goal. And an Arsenal equaliser, 2-2.
And it just seems like the season that Arsenal just keep getting the odd break here and there. And why not? Really good play from Saka to intercept. Obviously, Pote feels like it was a foul. I just thought Saka read it, got there, a bit of physicality against Pote. But Morita is so unlucky. I mean, he tries to get out of the way. The goalkeeper, Adan, can't sort his feet out, and it dribbles into the back of the net.
And the goal stands. And they did have quite a long look at it to see if there was a foul by Saka on Pote in the build-up to it. But it was deemed that there was no obvious error. And as such, the goal doesn't get overruled. Arsenal will make a change right on the back of that equalising goal. And Tomiyasu is on to replace Zinchenko in what you would imagine is a premeditated change. With 18 minutes gone in the second half. Sporting 2, Arsenal 2. Morita's own goal. Restoring parity 8 minutes after Arsenal have gone behind. Tomiyasu plays it back here for Reece Nelson. Nelson will take it down towards the corner flag and win a throw.
Again, though, it comes from that pressure that Arsenal have developed over the last couple of years, that work ethic now under Arteta out of possession.
Well, Tomiyasu's beaten Esgaio, flips it inside the area, and the header is helped over the bar. Fabio Vieira with it, powering a high one, and Adan got a left hand to it to flick it over the bar for another corner.
Great bit of play from Tomiyasu as a left back, little nutmeg, and then a little stood up cross to the back post for Vieira. Again, I'm not convinced with the header. I don't think he was particularly. I'd be surprised if he's got much dirt on that forehead over the years, and easy save in the end for Adan.
Oh, you can't judge everyone by your own standards, Dean. And it's going to be a corner which will be taken over on the Arsenal right.
He's definitely not got a forehead as big as mine, that's for sure.
In he comes, no comment. Left-footed in-swinging delivery, which is half cleared and ricochets around and then poked away to safety, but back over the dead ball line for another corner. Coates was down holding his head while all of that was going on the edge of the 6-yard box, and nobody was in the slightest bit interested in that. He feels as though it should have been an obligatory stoppage of play for a head injury. Kivior was the Arsenal player involved. It was a genuine attempt to win the ball. Arsenal get another corner, which is their 4th without reply in this second half. Reece Nelson to take it. It's a very deep in-swinger, and he got it all wrong because all he did was hit it into the hoardings behind the goal. And out of play for a goal kick. 65 on the clock on TalkSport 2. Time's been a bit of a slow burner, but it's ended up being a hugely entertaining European tie. So much to play for still at Sporting 2, Arsenal 2.
Well, I think you can tell that Arsenal maybe aren't at the intensity that they've played in many Premier League games I've seen, but have just had enough really to cause Sporting plenty of problems. But they do look vulnerable on the counter-attack in wide areas. They're wide open.
I'll come back to that in a moment because Sporting are trying to hit them the same way here. Pote travelling with the ball in the centre circle, lays it back for Morita. You explained it perfectly, where the space was being created. They brought Tomiyasu on to replace Zinchenko, and that might change things a little because he'll play that left-back role in a different way. But is it, on the basis it keeps happening, is it a fault of the tactics? Is it a fault of the execution of the tactics from the players? Is it a bit of a combination of both?
I think it's what the players have been asked. So I keep looking at Ben White, who will follow his forward player into midfield. And he's done it so often, but then I'm not seeing either Saliba come across and narrow the space, or Jorginho then go and drop into that position. So it just leaves that massive hole for a player to run into or the ball to be played into. And that has to be down to Arteta, because Ben White is clearly doing that and been asked to do that, to go into midfield.
So should the players be managing this situation themselves?
If I'm Ben White, I'm going, well, I'm not going to keep going in there if there's no protection behind me. You know, if they want to pick up the ball in midfield, that's when my midfielder needs to put some pressure on, and we keep our shape away from home in Europe. You don't want to keep giving the opposition these opportunities and space down the side of your centre-backs. And if the centre-backs should be saying the same thing.
Edwards to Morita. His own goal has got Arsenal back on level terms. We're exactly midway through the second half of an entertaining first leg. Morita working across the defensive line for St. Just, who arrived an £8.5 million deal in the summer from Mainz in Germany. Trincao laying the ball back, but not to good effect. Tomiyasu's able to bring it away and then win a throw as he just worked it up the left-hand touchline, hit Escaio and goes out of play. Throw that Tomiyasu has taken. And then he works it back for Granit Xhaka again. Arsenal and Sporting did meet in the group stage back in the 18-19 season. The Gunners didn't concede in either of those games. It took 4 points off Sporting, who they also beat in the Fairs Cup back in 1970, en route to lifting the trophy. But Sporting more latterly have had a really good record against English sides. They've actually won 7 of the last 9 two-legged ties against English opposition. Give themselves a platform here because they're tidy away from home, and particularly in Europe. Arsenal on the front foot here, though, with Saka. Saka's deft layoff for Fabio Vieira. He's played it behind square for Granit Xhaka. Xhaka's 20 yards outside the penalty area as he works it with his left foot out to the Arsenal right-hand side. One back over there by Jorginho. Jorginho now down towards Saka again. Saka onto his left foot, coming across the edge of the penalty area. Granit Xhaka, referee's positioning did him absolutely no favours there. It wasn't quite bad enough that the ball hit him, because that would have been better for Arsenal to have a drop ball. Instead, the referee just about managed to take evasive action and obstructed about 3 Arsenal players in the process. Here's Kivior, out to the left-hand side, turn around the corner for Tomiyasu and put out of play. And Arsenal are going to be Gabriel on. You would imagine for Kivior, the cavalry's arriving. It's Gabriel, Partey and Smith Rowe all about to come on. Triple change probably at the next break in play. Tomiyasu's already come off the bench. Gets a low cross in. That one knocked away by Saint-Just. And brought down by Arsenal in the midfield with Kivior. Kivior bringing it 4-5 yards. No obvious passes for him. Worked it back for Xhaka. Gets it back again. Tomiyasu trying to make something happen. It deflects off Askaya. Back for Xhaka. Little layoff on the edge of the area, but Martinelli couldn't get to it. Sporting will bring it away. Just for a moment, the counter-attack was on, and it continued to look on after a slightly languid back pass, but he did find Turner, and Arsenal are fine and play out from the back.
He can look a little bit like that, can't he, Saliba? He's very, very laid back. And I'm not sure he knew just how close the Sporting player was.
Martinelli's got it. He's inside the penalty area. He's found Reece Nelson, and he finds the fans about 10, 12 rows back. Out of play for a goal kick, and he may well be one of the players coming off. 20 minutes to go. So let's have a look at these changes. First of all, Martinelli. Is he going to be coming off? No, it's a Sporting change first. So Trincao is coming off. Nuno Santos is on to replace the former Wolves man. And now we will see the Arsenal changes. Kivior has come off. Gabriel's on to replace him. What have you made of Kivior's debut, Dean?
I think he's looked comfortable, but I think there'll be big question marks over his part in the first Sporting goal when he ducked under a potential header and then flinched as he turned around. It's not really what you want to see from your 6-foot-plus centre-back.
So Gabriel's on to replace him. Smith Rowe's come on for Nelson, and Partey on for Jorginho. 3 straight swaps with 20 minutes to go, and again a triple change with a feeling of premeditation about it.
Especially when it comes almost directly after the 70th minute.
1 just after the 60th minute, 3 just after the 70th. All part of the game plan. By the look of it, Morita will bring it forward. He's given the ball away. It goes out of play for a throw. He just tried to play it down towards Mateus Reis. It was past him and out of play for a throw that Ben White is going to take on the Arsenal right-hand side. White just tiptoeing forward down the touchline before playing the throw down the line. Fabio Vieira going down. It looked as though he might have been caught on the ankle by Mateus Reis, but it's going to be a throw rather than a free kick, which will be taken on the Portuguese left-hand side. So Martinelli's still on. He will be continuing to play through the middle. Emil Smith Rowe, who still hasn't started a Premier League game all season. Indeed, he hasn't started a game in all competitions all season. This is his 9th appearance off the bench, the last of which was only a short one at the weekend because he came on midway through the first half and went off midway through the second, but I think that's just managing his load as he comes back from injury, had groin surgery, 4 months out, then a thigh problem once he got himself fit after that initial ailment. And 45 minutes at the weekend, most they thought they could use him for. He gets 20 minutes tonight. Xhaka for White, and now here is Emil Smith Rowe with the opportunity to bring it forward. 17 to go. Here's Dean Ashton.
I think from my experience, it can be very difficult when you have surgery on any muscle in particular. I think you do have to be very cautious on your way back, and that's why Mikel Arteta maybe hasn't given Smith Rowe as many minutes as some Arsenal fans would expect, especially with the injuries that Arsenal have got. But a good chance for him to get some more minutes under his belt here against Sporting. Looks like Martinelli may have gone out to the left, and Vieira now playing as that 9 or just off that central position with Smith Rowe in behind him.
You're not missing anything. Jerry Saint-Just just got caught, and he's receiving some treatment, which gives me the opportunity to remind you tomorrow morning, Alan Brazil and Ali McCoist over on TalkSport Breakfast from 6 o'clock. Perfect way to start your day, reflecting on this game, on West Ham's impending win out in Cyprus, on Manchester United's match against Real Betis as well, the second leg of which you can hear at this time next week, a 5:45 kickoff here on TalkSport 2 next week. And if music's more your thing, don't forget broadcasting god Chris Evans on Virgin Radio, only on Virgin Radio, 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you want Virgin Radio, download the app or ask your smart speaker to play Virgin. It's on DAB as well. Chris Evans with a wonderful show tomorrow morning from 6:30. We're back underway. Thomas Partey's got the ball. He just works it forward through the centre circle into the feet of Martinelli, who, when he gets it back, can turn. Fabio Vieira then plays it out to the Arsenal right-hand side again. Partey to Saka. Saka digging the ball out from underneath his feet. Goes back for Thomas Partey. Good movement off the ball came from Smith Rowe, but he had needed an instant pass and it wasn't forthcoming. Arsenal slowing things down, just with a patient build-up again. We've got 15 minutes plus stoppage time to go. 2-2 the scoreline, as it is in Germany now between Union Berlin and Union Saint-Gilloise. Xhaka playing the ball in, and it's fired towards goal, but the offside flag was up. Bukayo Saka it was with the effort that was saved anyway, but Martinelli was just offside as Granit Xhaka played it forward. And a chance now for more action off the bench. It's the home side's turn to make changes. Escaio, the right wing-back, the first of the players coming off. And Shamiti is going to be replacing him. Yusuf Shamiti, just 18 years old. He's only had one substitute appearance in Europe. It's only the 11th senior appearance of his career. Only made his full debut at the start of last month. And he comes on, a firm favourite as a product of the academy, to replace Paulinho. And Escaio is off, and Isahaku has come on to replace him. 14 to go. Sporting 2, Arsenal 2 on TalkSport 2. Xhaka forward towards Smith Rowe. Arsenal with the opportunity to bring the ball forward here with Ben White. White 10 yards outside the Arsenal penalty areas. He just drops it off at the feet of Bukayo Saka. Smith Rowe taking it on, but caught in two minds, ended up giving it away. The retreating White did well to win it back and stays down injured for a moment. In fact, more than a moment. He's got a free kick. The referee had initially allowed play to continue. Saw that White was down hurt, and maybe overruled his original decision and has given the free kick. I mean, the free kick is fair enough. Pote just caught him a little bit late. He's claiming that he didn't. It was a wagging of the finger saying there was no contact, but he was kidding himself if he believed that to be the case. It's a free kick to Arsenal.
Yeah, I think he's still annoyed, isn't he, from the Arsenal second goal where he felt he was fouled. Like you said, not happy with Ben White. Didn't feel like there was enough contact there. It looked like there was to me.
Smith Rowe's going to take this free kick for Arsenal. 6 make their way towards the edge of the penalty area to attack it, and the referee has again seen some pushing and shoving, and this time finds in Sporting's favour and against Tomiyasu. 12 to go. Now, just clarification, that last Sporting change, incidentally, they changed their mind at the end. Ousmane Diomande, who has come on, will play at centre-half. The 19-year-old Ivorian is making his European debut. His teammates are on the front foot here. Saint-Just played to Diomande. The 19-year-old controls it in the midfield and then knocks it in towards Pote. Pote back for Coates. Coates and Marita, two of the regulars in this Sporting side, both suspended for next week's second leg. Ball fouled inside the penalty area. Will break for Saint-Just. Saint-Just angling it in, chested down by Saliba, and then a right-footed effort from Diomande, but he's dragged it wide.
Yeah, it was ricocheted into the path of Saint-Just, who then looked to strike, and Gabriel, like a fish out of water with his arms behind his back, as it struck him straight in the chest. And the strike from Diomande. Decent strike, but always peeling away past the post.
Clips of the week on Hawksby and Jacobs tomorrow afternoon on TalkSport at 3:30. possibly featuring Dean Ashton, with a fish out of water having no arms, as opposed to all those fish in water. I know, I knew exactly what you meant. It was the perfect description, but
I'm really glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. Won't push you under a bus ever, you know that. The ball with the fish arms or without them. The ball is out past St Just and out for a throw, which will be taken on the Arsenal left-hand side. 10 minutes to go. I mean, I would never mention it to them, but you know what the listeners are like. They're a tough crowd to please. It's a throw which will be taken on the Arsenal left by Tommy Yass, who's in no real hurry to take it. 10 minutes to go. And now he'll nick a good 3 or 4 yards. Launches it down the touchline, headed down. Comes off Granit Xhaka, high up in the air. He'll turn it forward again. Smith Rowe is in there. Diamande can bring it away. They've got high hopes for this young man, and he's done well to scoop the ball with the outside of the right boot down towards the left-hand side. Decent delivery, but Saliba was there to clear the cross from Nuno Santos. Got it back outside the penalty area. It hit Saka and just dropped in the box for a moment, but Smith Rowe guides it back to his keeper, and he can clear way over halfway. Coates lets it bounce, and Diamande does the rest. Mopping up, heads it back to his keeper. 10 minutes to go, and this, let's face it, isn't the worst result for either of them. And you sense that neither of them are really going to be going hell for leather over the final 10 minutes to score the decisive goal at the risk of maybe conceding one at the other end. It's a question of, first of all, protect what they've got and then just see what happens.
I mean, it's got a massive feel of a first leg, hasn't it? It hasn't got that energy and intensity that you would expect that we'll see in the second leg, but the changes seem to have favoured Sporting. It's just giving them a little lift, actually, a bit of energy. Santos and Schmitti.
Sporting are at home to Boa Vista at the weekend before making the journey to North London next Thursday. Arsenal, Fulham Sunday afternoon. And then they've got Palace on the back of the second leg the following Sunday. 8.5 to go. Sporting 2, Arsenal 2. West Ham still 2 up away to AEK Larnaca. Bayer Leverkusen got a second at home to Ferencváros late on in their Europa League tie. All the other scorelines as they were. Schmitti trying to make something happen, claiming, hands outstretched, that he should have had a free kick on the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Tomiyasu gets it away. Coates just ducks in, heads it down. Diamande down towards the right-hand side for St Just, who's playing in a much more advanced role now that Diamande has come on. Diamande is playing on the right-hand side of the back three, and St Just has pushed out of there and taken Escaio's position at right wing-back. 8 to go, 2-2. Ball back with Adam, the Sporting goalkeeper.
I mean, if we were saying that Martinelli looked a little bit awkward at times with his back to goal, Fabio Vieira really does look like it's unusual for him. He's just, every time the ball comes up to him, all he's thinking about actually is where the defender is. He's just constantly got his head turned rather than focusing on taking that in and just relieving a bit of pressure that Sporting are just trying to build.
Gabriel Jesus, if you're just joining us, still out with that knee injury. Potential, the fact that he's been back in training, I guess, that he could be involved at Fulham at the weekend. Eddie Nketiah also struggling with injury at the moment. No Trossard because of a groin problem. So the 3 players that have been playing through the middle over the course of this campaign, all missing today for Arsenal. No Tierney or Ødegaard either. They've missed Ødegaard tonight. I mean, this might have been a game that he sat out anyway, but he could easily have got 20, 25 minutes. He might have been involved in that change. He's missing because of illness, and again, no implication, as I understand it, that he will miss Sunday's game through illness, but unavailable for this one. Tierney left out as well for the same reason. Schmitti, good work off the ball from the Sporting teenager, but he's unrewarded. It's going to be an Arsenal throw. We start taking the left-back position with Tomiyasu. But the point I'm making, Dean, is that the Gunners have had to make do tonight with Martinelli in an unaccustomed role. Fabio Vieira, even more of a fish out of water in that role through the middle.
Exactly, with arms as well. I think
optional.
I think that's the case, but you know, you brought in Fabio Vieira because you expect him to be up to the levels, and I think he's done well. I think all the Arsenal players have done okay. Away to Sporting, not an easy game. They've been on a good run of form, and he's been able to use a few of the players, but you're always going to miss. I mean, Odegaard is a special talent. For me, he's got to be up there for player of the season in the Premier League. And then Jesus, who actually was, you have to say, he's one of their best players before his injury. They've missed him too.
Yeah, 5 goals and 6 assists. So Tomiyasu just been done off the ball there. I don't think the referee saw it. VAR may well have done. The initial challenge was from Tomiyasu on one of the Sporting players, and then Edwards went in for some late retribution.
Just a bit strange, really. I mean, he's just, you know, too much strength from Tomiyasu, and Saint-Just then thought, well, I'll help my teammate out, and just clatters into Tomiyasu. I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't know whether any of the assistants could help the referee out.
Yeah, the initial challenge was on Edwards. I did him a disservice. It was Saint-Just with that retribution, just steamed in to Tomiyasu on the deck. Play goes on. Diomande bringing it out of the penalty area. 5 to go. Long ball for from Diomande. It's 2-2 on TalkSport 2. A game that Arsenal have both led and trailed. But an own goal from Morita restoring parity just past the hour mark, and it's been that way for the last 25 minutes or so. It's Smith Rowe with the ball in the midfield now for Arsenal. West Ham still 2 up away to AEK Larnaca. Gabriel. Wonderful season he's had as well, marshalling that Arsenal backline so effectively. Every minute of Premier League action he's played. Started 60 successive league games. Great partnership he's got with Saliba, who's in possession now. Played forward through the midfield. Tomiyasu back for Gabriel. Xhaka to his left. Martinelli one stop further down the line. Was furious that Xhaka didn't leave it for him. Granit Xhaka brings it back through the midfield though. Arsenal effectively killing the game off here just by keeping possession, not working it down. They haven't done so for a while, but Smith Rowe will be able to bring it forward. Tomiyasu now sweeping it out to the left, and Martinelli gets his wish and then finds Fabio Vieira, who goes down. Diomande leans over him afterwards. He nicked it one side of him, tried to go the other, and then made sure that contact was made in the penalty area. I think the referee's got that right.
Yeah, and that's the key phrase. He made sure that he made contact with the defender. I don't really like to see that, to be honest, when you actually throw yourself towards the defender. Instead, if you're going to do that, then clearly you can get past the defender and get the ball the other side.
Bukayo Saka's got it now for Arsenal. It's a low left-footed effort that's on target, but comfortably saved.
He's looked tired, hasn't he, Saka? Especially in his second half. He's not really got involved at all. I think he looks a little bit tired, and just wonder, you know, why is he playing at the moment the whole of this game?
Well, he's another that has hardly missed a minute. I mean, he's played in 68 straight Premier League games, and when you consider the World Cup and heavy involvement from other competitions as well, it's some workload that the young man has had. He's going to be playing all 90 tonight, seemingly. Arsenal have got a cheap throw in an advanced position after the goalkeeper's poor clearance. He looks as though he's struggling a little bit at the moment, maybe for some mobility. I don't know whether Arsenal are going to be able to get into positions to test him. They've got a chance to stand one up now. They've won a corner. Have they, as the cross comes in from the right-hand side? Maybe the offside flag was up against Ben White. He's leaning over, breathing very heavily. Sporting will make another change, and Edwards comes off, and Issahaku's going to replace him. He is coming on now. Issahaku, another one of the teenagers in this Sporting squad, 19-year-old Ghanaian who plays as a right winger or a right wing back, so he'll just slot in into Edwards' role. And every time you see Marcus Edwards, you're very impressed. If he only had a right foot as well, he would be right up there.
Yeah, definitely. His left foot would have to be a little bit better as well, because he hasn't got that right foot to go with it in terms of ability to finish, and even just the option. I don't think once we've seen Edwards feint to go on the left foot and then go down the outside. Every single time he's come onto that left foot, albeit at one point that one of the pass that he made for the second goal was just outstanding.
They're on the front foot now, Sporting with Isahaku, trying to take on Tomiyasu, who just stood his ground. And as the ball rolled away from the pair of them, Isahaku was a little bit overzealous in his attempts to win it back, and there was a tangle of legs that he instigated. Tomiyasu has a free kick. And Arsenal will be able to run a few more seconds off the clock. We've only got 20 seconds of normal time remaining. We've seen a raft of changes, a couple of stoppages for injury as well, so maybe 5 minutes to be added on. We'll find out in a moment. Smith Rowe, the right-hand side of the penalty area here for Arsenal. And he's laid it down for White, who can't get there before the ball's just rolled over the dead ball line. Tried to wrap his right foot around it, couldn't get there in time, and he goes out of play for a goal kick. Looks as though Union Berlin are going to get away with it on a 3-3 in their game now with Union Saint-Gilloise. That's a thrilling game in Berlin tonight. 3-3 in that one, 2-2 in this one, as we go into 4 minutes of added time.
Yeah, some tired legs out there now for Arsenal. Saka and White in particular. Arteta, as we always see him, absolutely screaming at Ben White to get back into position.
We're in stoppage time as well in Cyprus. 6 minutes they're playing there. They've had 3 of them. West Ham are 2 up away to AEK Larnaca with a brace from Mikel Antonio, taking him up to 9 for the season. So West Ham well in control of that tie with a European quarter-final. You would think in the post for them already. This one much more in the balance. We played the first of the 4 additional minutes. 2-2 the scoreline. The ball with Gabriel, the heart of the Arsenal back line. Down the line from him to Martinelli, back in his more favoured left wing position now, and he'll turn, having laid the ball off and chase down the edge of the penalty area. Fabio Vieira trying to tease it back into Martinelli's path, but the bounce of the ball wasn't kind. Tomiyasu's got it back right in front of Mikel Arteta, who stands both hands above his head as if to protest his innocence on behalf of his charge there. Martinelli trying to work it inside the box, looking for Vieira. It was cleared. Tomiyasu picks it up though. What Arsenal would give for a late winner here to really take control of this tie. They've got 2 minutes to find it on TalkSport 2. Sporting 2, Arsenal 2 the score. Granit Xhaka down to the edge of the penalty area for Martinelli. Some weary legs and minds out there. Martinelli with a crossfield ball that was easily cut out by Schmitti. He couldn't do anything constructive with it, and Arsenal will win it back in a deeper area. By no means full tonight, incidentally, the Jose Alba lad. They end the way to the right-hand side. Big rows of empty green seats. And I think it'll be bouncing next weekend back here, next week, I beg your pardon, back in North London for an 8 o'clock kickoff between these two in the second leg. 2-2 the scoreline at the moment. Saka coming inside the penalty area, getting it onto his left foot. Can he work the shooting opportunity? He can, but it's another low shot straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. Adam.
That's where Saka is at his best. You just do not know when he's going to take the strike. You know, he feints so often with that left foot of his and just picks the perfect moment then to take the strike. He'll be disappointed. It was neither, you know, curled towards the far post or struck towards the near. It was too easy, really, for Adan in the end.
Well, they've only been 3 games out of 24 this season for Arsenal, where they've gone 1-0 up and not won it. This looks as though it's going to extend that sequence, but there is still just a little bit of time. Tomiyasu's got the ball in the midfield as we welcome listeners from TalkSport. We're in the last knockings of the game at the Jose Alba Stadium, where it's 2-2 between Sporting and Arsenal. Gabriel with an opportunity to bring the ball forward. He's found Thomas Partey. Just about time for Arsenal to launch one last attack. Ben White working it down the right-hand touchline and scooping it on again, letting it run out of play for a throw that he's in a hurry to take, although there were no immediate options for him. Former England international Dean Ashton alongside him. It looks as though it's going to end all square. Dean would just about be fair, I think, but hang on, here's Saka, gets to the byline, plays it in, hits Coates, and Arsenal have a corner right at the end.
Yeah, but there hasn't really been that urgency towards the end of the game from Arsenal. I think with that fortunate own goal to put them level, they then just look to see this game out. But could they, just with this corner right at the end, steal it?
Yeah, Saliba gave Arsenal a first-half lead. Inacio equalised 10 minutes before the break. Paulinho made it 2-1 to Sporting 10 minutes after the break, but Xhaka's pass deflected off Maricha and in for an own goal. 2-2, and this is the last chance for either side to win it. In comes the corner from Fabio Vieira, easily headed away, and the referee signals the end of the game. Well, parity, by no means the worst situation as far as Arsenal are concerned. Not at their best. A few defensive deficiencies exposed again, but they'll feel that they're in the box seat ahead of the second leg next week.
Yes, and I think Mikel Arteta will be pleased just to get out of here with a draw. No real injury issues, I don't think. And they'll really fancy their chances back at the Emirates next week, when we might see the likes of Ødegaard and others back.
No Jesus or Nketiah or Trossard. We saw Martinelli playing through the middle. We saw Fabio Vieira latterly playing through the middle. It was an area where Arsenal struggled tonight, with no disrespect to either of the players involved, but it's not their natural role, and it did show.
It did, yeah, and I think, of course, Martinelli is full of confidence at the moment, getting back in the side and scoring goals, but still it is you've really got to know that role if you're going to receive the ball back to play. And I think they have missed Nketiah, now he's been injured, but Jesus, it'll be brilliant if they can have him back for some minutes at least in the second legs.
Well, those are the thoughts of Dean Ashton. It's finished at the Jose Alvalade. Sporting 2,